Hey, what's up YouTube? Smartalik here. Just wanted to bring a quick video. This is my first one on Lastepoch, and I'm going to start streaming and making videos about Lastepoch often. But I wanted to show you my build here that I'm using, which I have to give props and kudos out to Aaron over at Action ARPG channel. I'll put a link to his page in the description below, but he has a channeling multi-shot marksman build, which I've changed up just a little bit. But the base goes, kudos for the base of this goes out to Aaron at Action ARPG. So I just want to go over the build. You saw that little clip of killing Orbis in the beginning. This build does a lot of damage really fast. What we're doing is we're using Flurry to proc multi-shot over and over and over again. And then, of course, multi-shot has its own modifiers there. So we're going to talk about that. So let's get right into it. So first we're going to get into the passives. And what you'll see here is we just have 33 into the base rogue class. All we wanted was to get Swift Assassin for that attack speed. We wanted that steady hand for dexterity. We wanted to move into dodge and parry so that we get a little bit of dodge and glancing blow chance, and then down into Thief Guard for the health and health gained on glancing blow. That just means that if we're taking those glancing blows, 15% chance when we're getting swarmed or mobbed, we're going to get some of our health back. And this build has so much health regen, health build back on the glancing blow. We're getting health back on hit. We're getting health back on flurry. So it's pretty legit. And what we really wanted out of this was to just get smoke bomb and decoy. We're not using ballista. And then we did put 8 into Blade Dancer. This just for the chance of 8 dexterity and the extra 16% glancing blow chance. So between dodge and parry at 15%, and then the 16% we're getting here, that's 31% chance to get a glancing blow. And every glancing blow is giving us health gained plus 48 per glancing blow. So that is a good synergy to give us a lot of health back when we're getting swarmed. And then everything else gets dumped into marksman. And this is where I've changed things just a tiny bit. We want 8 into draining arrows. Again, just doubles up our attack speed, right? Because we had the 24% attack speed from Swift Assassin. We're getting another 24% attack speed from draining arrows. Plus, we're getting health gained. So again, going back to that life leech, the way that we survive is that dodge, the glancing blow, and life leech. I only have 2 into focus fire. We could probably put a little bit more in here, but I didn't want to go too far on that. We have 10 into missile mastery, which gives us 50% bow damage. And then we have 5 into Assassin's Quiver, which again gives us plus 5 to bow damage. But the real thing we wanted was the 40% extra crit chance. And once we get points into that Missile Mastery, that's what unlocks multi-shot. And then we get 10 into Wound Maker, which gives us that 100% crit vulnerability. And then we have 2 into Thieves' Quiver. This is probably the biggest part that I changed in the build. This was maxed out originally, but what I found was I could back this down to 1 or none and still have so much life leech that I almost don't need this, but I wanted to keep it just for now. We have 5 into Sharpshooter, which just gives us a buff, and then we have 6 into Sniper's Gambit, which gives us that plus 30 to bow damage. It does come with the negative of 12% extra damage taken from nearby enemies, but to be honest, when we get into the gameplay, stuff usually doesn't get near us, so not a big deal. And then we have, this is where I've changed it up a bit. We have 3 into Ethereal Arrows, which I'm going to max this out. Right now I'm level 81 or 82, so I need to get this bumped up a little higher. Mana regen is the problem with this build. Mana restoration, and I'll show you this when we get into the skills, but I started bumping points into this 1 point originally just to get the extra mana regen. The bow mana cost increased damage, I'll explain. It really doesn't do us anything with this build, but it could for others, like a Hail of Arrows build. What I really wanted was this Master Archer, so I have plus 4 multi-shot arrows. So every time I shoot multi-shot, I'm now pumping out 4 arrows, and the benefit to that is I have a plus 6% increased damage per multi-shot arrow, and then I have a plus 5 here on this idle. So it's a plus 11% damage per arrow. If you're shooting 11 arrows, plus 11%. So that's basically another 100% damage with multi-shot because of that, which is not factoring in all the other buffs, right? So really cool. I'll probably just go ahead and cap out Ethereal Arrows, but you can see right now that if I'm casting Flurry over and over and over on the training dummy, my mana slowly drains. So as long as I'm hitting something with Flurry, my mana is being restored. If I just start pumping multi-shot by itself, it drains kind of slow. And if I just Flurry off into the ether and it's not hitting anything, mana drains fast. So you can see here we have mana cost 1, channel cost 20. So if you just pump one Flurry, you're not going to lose mana. But when you're channeling, that's when the mana drains. So as long as you're hitting something, at least one, you're going to get your mana back. So in a nutshell, I'll give you a second to screenshot that if you want. But that's the passive build out I have right now. 33 into Rogue, 8 into Blade Dancer, and 53 in Marksman. So now let's talk about the skills. So primarily, Flurry is the magic here, and you actually get Flurry right away as a rogue, and this is the magic that's happening here. But basically, we've taken Shift, Flurry, Decoy Totem, Smoke Bomb, and Multi-Shot, and Multi-Shot and Flurry is how this is working. So what we do with Flurry is we go ahead and grab Alacrity right away so we can get that plus 15 attack speed. That brings us up to 46% increased attack speed, which is part of why we're just nailing that training dummy. It's probably about 6 to 8 attacks per second. So that's what's getting us that magic there. Then we bump into Blood Revelry. So our first strike is a 2% life leech. Second is a 4%, and third is a 6%. So we're really getting that life leech. And we have second wind for that health gain plus 12. And where this really started to take off at low levels, probably around 30, was Flurry grants mana when hitting at least one enemy, plus 2. So that's not a lot, but that is why if I'm hitting one enemy, I can keep my mana up. Okay, so that's important on Flurry. Then after that, it's your call if you want to come down south first for the extra buffs, but I went over to Boundless Blows first. So what this is doing is it's increasing our mana cost for Flurry. It's now a channeling ability, so you wouldn't have the channeling without taking Boundless Blows, and increase the mana cost by 5. And then we bump into Pavis just to get the extra 24% physical and elemental resistance. And our main goal there was to get 2 of those so that we can come down to Folisade. And if you're using a bow, every 4th arrow is replaced by a multi-shot. So as I'm channeling, every 4th is multi-shot. 1, 2, and I'm getting some double multi-shots in there, which I'll explain. So that is what makes Flurry the channeling multi-shot build, is that we get down to Folisade. After I got Folisade, that's when I started coming down into Relentless. So we're getting that extra attack speed per hit with a maximum of plus 20, which brings us now to a 66% increased attack speed. We get 1 into Adrenaline Rush, so we get that buff, which gives us Giant Slayer. So each stack of Adrenaline Rush grants Flurry more hit damage against bosses and rare. You know, you could probably spec out of this. It's kind of a neat bonus. It's only 10%, however, so it's not really giving you a ton. I actually thought about pulling a point out of here, pulling 1 out of Pavis, and just dropping them onto Adrenaline lasts longer, or put the 2 onto Giant Slayer, so I'm up to 30% damage bonus against rare and bosses. It's kind of up to you on that one, but that's what we're doing Flurry. The real magic here is heading left over and getting Folisade so that every 4th shot is a multi-shot. And so how multi-shot's working is coming up here into efficient draw, right? So we're saying that it's more mana efficient. I would like to get a 3rd point into this. I had body armor that was giving me plus 1 to multi-shot, or actually my helmet here was plus 1 to multi-shot, and that's what allowed me to come back in here and get that 3rd point so that it costs less mana, but I swapped that out. We'll see if I can get it again. So we want multi-shot to cost less mana. We want multi-shot to hit more damage, so it's plus 55. It's minus 30 attack speed. Don't really care about that, because unless you're just clearing trash, you're using Flurry to cast multi-shot. And then keep pushing them around. This gives us a 25% knockback. Again, a bonus because nothing's hitting us. Okay? And then where multi-shot and Flurry come together to shine is this quick draw. Multi-shot has increased attack speed 10%, so that cuts this down just a little bit. And then I come over to back to draw, and it says every 8 attacks with multi-shot is a double attack. And then I get 2 into repeater bow, which means -4 to that number. So now every fourth multi-shot is a double. So 1, 2, 3. That was a double. So 1, 2, 3, double. 1, 2, 3, double. And because I'm just channeling this with flurry, 1, 2, 3, double. 1, 2, 3, double. A multi-shot actually fires off faster with being procced by flurry, and you're getting those double hits every fourth arrow. So really cool damage, really cool ability. And then all we've done after that is grabbed 1 into sniping just so that we could get up to no easy way out, so that multi-shot has a chance to slow on hit, and then we have 2 into pinning shots, which gives us an extra 40% damage against slowed enemies. All right, so we're getting the mana efficiency, we're getting the hit damage, we're getting the knockback, we're getting the slow, we're getting extra damage against slowed enemies, and then of course we're coming down to attack speed and getting that double hit off multi-shot. So really, really cool. The rest of this stuff, shift, is pretty much like normal. You're going to see damn near the same loadout on any rogue class, right? We have shadow recuperation, so we're getting health back every time we shift. We're doing breathing techniques, so now we're getting more healing based on how much dexterity we have. So you're healing per point of dexterity 2. Right now I have 45, so that is a 90 health back every time I shift. Then we go up into rebound, so we're doing a cooldown reset, and we're getting a portion of our health 50%. So basically, if a single hit deals at least 50% of your health, so if you get hit for 50% of your health, shift cooldown is reset. This is great when you're fighting bosses, Orbis. You take a heavy burst hit of damage, you get your reset, your cooldown reset on shift, and you bounce out of the way. Then we take 1 point into travel farther, so we go a little bit farther, but it does increase that cooldown. Again, not a big deal, because if you take burst damage, you get your cooldown reset. And then we're moving into molting, so shifting cleanses all negative ailments. So if you have bleeding, poison, anything on you, you shift out and you clear off that ailment. It's up to you whether you want to come down to Swift Recovery first, because this is going to help you on the early level. In fact, I might recommend it because of that mana issue with Flurry early on. Basically, Shift restores mana on use. The amount is tripled when you're below half health. So again, you take that burst damage, you shift out, you clear bleeding, you gain health, and now you gain more mana on the shift. And then we move into momentum so that we get a 50% increased movement buff for 1.5 seconds after shifting. So basically, if I shift, I'm just running a bit faster. It'd be nice if we had some kind of a buff timer down here to show you that you do have that, but you can feel the run speed. Okay, and then after we do that, we just bounce back to Shadow Slip so that you're invulnerable while shifting. We put 4 into Elusive. You have an additional dodge chance per point of dexterity for 1 second after shifting. In this case, we have 120 extra dodge rating. So my dodge rating is not that great. It's 273, but if I shift, it goes up to 5,673 during that invulnerability phase, right? So if you're about to get a burst hit from Orbis, you shift out 5,673 points of dodge. You can see that right here real quick. I'll shift again. Boom. And so you have that 1.5 seconds of basic invulnerability. So that's awesome. Pretty common loadout here. The only thing I kind of did a little different was I probably wanted a third up into this breathing technique, but again, I don't have the extra point for shift right now. And then decoy totem. This is normal. Go ahead and screenshot it if you want. Almost the same build out for any decoy totem. We're just basically saying it costs less mana because it does originally, it's 22 mana cost. So, in the lower levels, it does cost quite a bit of mana. And if you don't have much mana regen, that can start to hurt you. So we go in there and get that mana regen quickly. And then the decoy emits a sonic wave when it appears, applying frailty. You might want to just do this last because that frailty is really going to help you with the armor shred later on. But then we go down into embedded spike, so the decoy reflects a percentage of its damage. We got 5 into that for 50% reflect. Backup buddy decoy can store an additional charge, so now I can drop 2 decoys. Right? And then I come over to lasting presence. It just buffs the duration makes the final explosion damage have 50% more, but it also increases the cooldown into the shadows, which gives us more dodge chance while decoy exists, which right now is 200. And then over to ambush. So when the decoy expires, for the next 4 seconds, you have increased critical strike multiplier equal to your dodge chance while the decoy is active. All right, so if we pop those out, with one, we go up to 473 dodge. If we get the second one out, we're going to go up to about 700 dodge chance. And what that means is we get that extra crit multiplier equal to our dodge chance. That's good crit. So once you get your smoke bomb out and you drop out 2 decoys, your crit multiplier flies through the roof and you melt everything with your flurry and multi-shot. Which brings us to smoke bomb. Go ahead and screenshot that. All we're really doing here is grabbing, of course, Shrouded in Darkness, so that we're granted a stack of Dust Shroud each second for 2 seconds while you're in the smoke, which gives you another 5% glancing blow chance, extra dodge rating, buff duration 2, and then we take 4 into rapid concealment so that we get that Dusk Shroud frequency is bumped up 100%. So you can see there, as we start to synergize the dodge rating, the crit multiplier, glancing blow is now up to 64%, I believe, and we're getting health back on every glancing blow. So if we do end up getting hit, we're pretty safe there. And the frequency is bumped up. Then we grab thick smoke, so this slows enemies within the smoke each second. Again, don't forget that our buff of 40% damage with multi-shot against slowed targets. So when they're in the smoke bomb, they are being slowed and they are taking 40 to 60% extra damage. Then we grab Eroding Fumes, which applies armor shred to the enemies within the smoke cloud with 4 stacks. That's all we do over on this side. Then we drop down to Lingering Fumes just to make sure that that smoke cloud lasts longer. Then if you're standing inside the smoke cloud, your base crit chance is up 10%, and you blind with bow attacks, which is phenomenal. So all we're doing here is synergizing the decoy totems, we're synergizing dodge chance, we're synergizing crit multi and crit chance, and we're synergizing damage against slowed enemies. So if we went back to the training dummy, I'll show you kind of the rotation. If you're just hitting the training dummy, I'm kind of hitting upwards of 7 to 15,000 on some of those crits. There was a 14,800 crit, 12,172. If I drop a couple detoys and I hit my smoke bomb and I'm just shooting the shit out of this thing, I'm getting upwards of some 30,000, 40,000 crits. And that gets even better. So if I hit, I get 5 stacks of bow mastery. I get the arrow storm cooldown. On top of that, I get my sharpshooter, which increases bow damage. I can get those stacks up to 10. I get the other bow mastery up. I drop a decoy. I smoke bomb. And I get all those stacks together, and you are just annihilating shit. It just literally melts. So I'll just show you a quick run after we talk about gear, which I don't have very good gear, but let's take a peek. Okay, so in gear, I really don't have a really high-level tuned gear. What I have on my helmet is just a little bit of extra crit multi. What I wanted was that extra increased damage per arrow with multi-shot. Again, I'm up to 100% bonus damage with multi-shot as I synergize my helmet with one of my idols. I get my dex, and this is a crappy item. I can't wait to find another good rogue helmet with the increased damage and some resistances so I can get my resistances up. I'm swapped between the build really wants you to have this bone amulet so that you have the extra physical resistance, necrotic resistance, and I want that increased physical damage, and I really want that increased physical penetration. I just couldn't pass up the 98% increased physical damage on this. As you can see from synergizing all that physical damage, I'm at a base 657% increased physical damage with this build. Stacked with 126 increased bow damage. So if I put that amulet on, I go down to 615%, which is still freaking amazing. And then my my terrible resistances are much better. But to be honest with you, with everything, how this build is stacking out between decoy dummy, slowing the enemies, the knockback on multi-shot, the insane amount of health gained on life leech per bow hit, and then if you really get into trouble, you shift, which makes you invulnerable, restores mana and health. There's almost I don't want to get myself in trouble. Don't flame me in the comments, but you really don't rely on your resistances. Anyway, so back to the amulet. We just basically wanted that for that physical resistance. We get a little bit of resistance on poison out of it. I'm sorry, I wanted the 98% fizz damage. I may go back to the bone amulet at some point, but we'll see. Quiver, not that great. We're getting 22% crit multiplier, 55% fizz damage, plus 10 to bow damage, and 5 health on kill. Just a little bit of extra life leech. Honestly, this could do so much better. And my armor, 160 armor, 55% increased fizz damage, dexterity, ward gained on shift, 100 health, and 67% cold resistance. I was using this one so I can get that plus to shift, and the 53% increased damage while wielding a bow, or 43%. But I got to be honest, the hit for 11 dexterity and the 55% increased fizz damage, getting me up to this 657% fizz damage, I couldn't get away from it. And this is where, this bow is where I just cannot get away from it. I changed the typical bow that's used for this build. In fact, I think I might have one of the regular bows. Yeah, so regular bow is one of these dread thorns, so it gives you the physical damage, 3% or 4% bow critical strike, and then a bow critical strike multiplier. I gotta tell you, that critical multiplier is sexy, and if you can get super, super high fizz damage on the bow, I still think I might go back to this, but I cannot get away from the fact that I have 181% physical damage on this bow. I've got the 45 flat, 4% crit chance, 86% increased fizz dam, plus 13 bow physical damage, 95% increased physical damage. Between the 86 and the 95, I'm at 181 increased physical damage with this bow. I don't give a shit about the chill on hit, ignite on hit, except for the fact that the chill slows enemies, which again goes back to synergizing with multi-shot, where I have 40% increased damage against chilled enemies, or I'm sorry, slowed. So chill applies slow, and boom, you're doing a shit ton of damage. Rings, just got these coral rings for the increased physical damage, increased mana regen. You'll notice that my forging potential is busted all of these, so I'm working on finding better gear. Again, I just wanted the 49% increased fizz damage on my belt, plus a little bit of resistance. 55 increased physical damage on this ring, plus a little bit of resistance. I picked up this relic, which I was using. This one for the critical strike chance, plus the critical multiplier, plus dexterity and health. But I couldn't pass up this one having a 91% increased critical strike chance, plus the 20% down as an affix, and a little bit of crit multi. So that brings me up to a 27% chance on critical strike with a low 230 multiplier. Going back to this relic, I get a higher multiplier, but I'm down to 19% chance. So I just wanted that little extra chance on crit. My boots, not that special. I got the basically the 27% increased movement speed. I wanted the dexterity, and I wanted that void resistance. So that was, I think the boots can do a lot better. And then gloves just gives me a little bit of mana. These are shitty gloves, by the way. That's the next on my list to upgrade is gloves. The melee leech does me no good. 9 mana really does me no good. All I'm getting out of this is the armor and the health. So, and the dodge rating helps. So I will be updating those really, really soon. So in a nutshell, guys, that's it. It is a killer build. I'll go ahead and load up a monolith, and we will run through one really fast and see what it looks like. Okay, so we're just going to pop through one of these. This is kind of a low-level thing. Don't hate me in the comments. I'm just starting to cruise through the monolith, so corruption's only 10 over here. But let's just pop into one of these real fast and just show you how the build works. I hardly ever use decoy totem or smoke bomb unless I'm getting swarmed by 4 or 5 rares at the same time, or you're at a boss. Most of the time, I'm literally just shooting multi-shot just to clear stuff. But I'll go ahead and let myself take some damage. My health regen is really high. Your glancing blow is really high, so you don't take a whole lot of damage. And then once you start shooting, your health is right back. You just refill it. You hardly even take damage. And because of slow, because of knockback, things don't even touch you. Which I know I'll get flamed for talking about not wasting too much time worrying about resistances. But as you can see, I just don't need resistances on this build right now. I'm guessing once I get closer up into the Hunter Corruption, you know, really empowered runs, we'll be changing tunes. But as for right now, stuff doesn't even hit me. So we'll just clear these out. Just let them chase us. We'll get to the end. And then we'll drop a decoys, smoke bomb. The only reason I really keep multi-shot going as I'm running through is I want to keep my bow mastery buff up. We'll just melt this guy, take our key, and keep going. I always kill those because they just sit there and endlessly spawn shit that comes after you. Just keep my buffs up. Okay, so let's drop decoy, decoy, smoke bomb, and we just melt this guy. You're not losing much mana, you're not losing any health. If anything does touch you, your health regen and life leech is such that it just doesn't even freaking matter. So there's the build. That's how it plays out. That's the rotation. You get to the boss, you get to Orbis, you drop a decoy, decoy, smoke bomb, and just right click and melt. Beautiful build. Hope you liked it. Make sure that you hit the like button on the video. Subscribe to the channel for more Last Epoch build updates. I'll be streaming 2-3 times a week. Hit the bell notification if you want to know when we go live or when we post a video. I'll have a link down below. Again, I want to give props and kudos to Aaron at Action RPG for his original build guide on this. And then you'll also find a link to the Twitch and Discord. So I hope you join us there. Peace out. And remember, always be a smartass.